Welcome back to Lotus on Track and Outon Park as we get ready for the second race of the weekend for the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. The top 10 from qualifying are reversed, and it gives us a grid that looks like this, with Nigel Hannam in pole position from Jason Baker, row 2, Neil Stottert and Martin Wills, with then Andrew Bentley and Craig Denman rounding out the top 10. We should be in for a thriller. Everything ready for the off here, and away we go. Great start from Hannam. Luigi Mazza bogs it down a little bit, and Andrew Bentley may well overhaul him as they sprint towards the first turn at Outon. It's Jason Baker who leads the way. Adam Gore also finding traction in the blue number 9 car around the outside at Outon. Arriving then to Cascades, and Baker already coming under immediate pressure from Martin Wills in the black 33 car, and then number 48, that's James Littlejohn, chasing down Wills and Baker. Then a slight gap back to Nigel Hannam, who's the 4 of the rest of the field. He's got Neil Stottert, Adam Gore, Luigi Mazza and Andrew Bentley right on his tail. There's the bright yellow machine of Luigi Mazza arriving on the brakes into Shell Oil's Bend. He looks to the inside line. It means Andrew Bentley tries to find the traction around the outside, using the camber of the corner to bring his white machine alongside the other mats, but he can't quite squeeze through. So they all sprint on towards the chicane at Britons for the first time. Knight also looking to make a little bit of progress in the number 15 car. They'll ride over the curbs and then begin to wind up the power as they accelerate over Hilltop into the braking zone of Hislop, where it's still Baker who leads the way, and he's positioning that car just perfectly at the moment, making it very difficult for those behind to try and gain ground. Andrew Bentley looking to do much the same thing, because he has got Craig Denman and Will Price looming very large on his tail, as well as they accelerate out of Knickerbrook and up over Clay Hill. The rest of the pack all streaking through further behind as the leaders come through to complete the lap, and Baker under real pressure here from Wills and Littlejohn. But again, Jason Baker is just covering the middle of the road. He's making this very hard for Martin Wills, because these cars are to all intents and purposes identical, and therefore by making Wills drive round him, it's a hard way through. But Martin Wills has found it around the outside at Cascades, and Littlejohn looks to overtake the pair of them, and is going to do so. But as they sprint towards Island Bend, Jason Baker tries to make it 3 wide. It's Martin Wills who's going to have the inside line though. He's able to withstand the pressure from Littlejohn, and then looks to cut across. It keeps Jason Baker at bay behind him. And it is Martin Wills then who takes the lead, and Baker swept to the back of that pack as Littlejohn now looks to challenge Wills around the outside at the Shell hairpin, going elbow to elbow. Littlejohn just squeezed onto the grass by Martin Wills. It's fair in Love War and Lotus on Track Elise Trophy racing, and certainly Littlejohn hasn't slowed himself down too much as a result of that. What they've got to be careful of though is, as a group, slowing themselves down too much, allowing the rest to get into contention, because at the moment it's Wills from Littlejohn, then Baker, and then Adam Gore and Andrew Bentley. And Adam Gore looking to make the move on Jason Baker into Hislop. Through he goes on the brakes, and Andrew Bentley doing exactly the same. And this bears out the point I was making earlier on, that you learn on a track day high performance driving. What you don't learn is racecraft. You can only get that through racing, and Jason Baker on this lap has really learned the hard way some of the tricks of the trade. So he gets shuffled down to 5th. Further back, plenty of dicing still to be found as Seth Walpole goes wheel to wheel with Andy Stamford over the line. Meanwhile comes this leading train of cars, all 5 of them pretty much running as one. Hit the brakes into Outon. Adam Gore looks to make the move with James Littlejohn, and he's going to slide through. Lovely move that from Gore. He pushes Littlejohn again out wide over the curbs. The next pack comes across the line. Luigi Mazza on the tail of Will Price and Craig Denman. It's the field streak over the line. There is a glimpse of Neil Livesey, then the Seth Walpole battle. Adam Gore now into the lead of the race. Through he goes past Wills. Wills looks back to the inside line at the hairpin. Nothing doing there. So Adam Gore has just driven his way through this pack. Wills slips back. Andrew Bentley's also gained ground as we've got a big incident. Can't quite tell who that is. Very pleased though to see them moving in the car, or what's left of it, and that, unsurprisingly, has brought out the red flag. And indeed, the flatbed truck's recovery means we're going to have a somewhat truncated restarted race, as the car is recovered by the marshals and circuit staff here at Outon Park. So the field on the grid ready for the resumption, and this is going to be a pretty short and sweet 4 or 5 lap sprint, and away we go. Off to Outon they head, and it is Martin Wills who's got the jump from pole position. He tries to squeeze Adam Gore, who gets boxed in between Wills and Andrew Bentley, and Bentley swoops around the outside as they tip their way through Outon for the first time. Several of them running out very wide. A huge dust cloud gets kicked up Arriving into Cascades, though, it's Wills from the white machine of Andrew Bentley, then the multicoloured car of Adam Gore, who tries to find the traction on the outside line. But Bentley's going to have the inside, possibly, for Island Bend, and may well be able to pick his way past Gore. Let's see if that's the case. No, Adam Gore able to claim that second position through the bold move at Cascades, and then hit the brakes into Shallows Hairpins, bringing Jason Baker back into the mix as well, just behind, as they then accelerate out along the short sprint towards Britain's, where you can't really overtake, but you can maybe take a little bit of time as your rivals, particularly the pack, all truncate. Well, Luigi Mazza has been somewhat muted in this second race after that incident earlier on. I just wonder whether the car is not quite to his liking. Any repairs that he made in the paddock haven't quite done what he wanted them to. In the meantime, though, the leader's on the brakes into Hislop, and it's Craig Denman who contemplates making the move on Will Price, but he's got to be careful there because he's got Adam Knight and then the bright yellow car of Luigi Mazza swarming all over his tail. They accelerate through Knickerbrook and over Clay Hill once more. The leading trio breaking clear of really the rest of the pack, all running as one this early stage of the resumed race, and still the leading trio as they were. Andrew Bentley in the bright white car at the tail of the pack on the prowl behind Adam Gore, who's now starting to ask all the right questions of Martin Wills. And then we've got Jason Baker in fourth position and really holding his own. He's also got just a little bit space over his rivals as it's three wide for the lead. Adam Gore to the inside of Martin Wills into Island Bend, and Wills looks to turn across him, and there's contact and around they go, and Andrew Bentley gets skittled off in that as well. Fortunately, it would appear it's only Martin Wills who's maybe come into contact with anything solid, as they all recover themselves in varying fashions. And well, that was all a little bit unnecessary. Very, very close and competitive into Island Bend. It means that it's Jason Baker who's taken over in the lead of the race, with Will Price in second, Luigi Mazza in third, Craig Denman hunting them down in what now becomes fourth position. And for these drivers who were maybe not really in contention a few moments ago, this is like an early Christmas present. They've now got every opportunity to race their way onto the podium, or even to claim a race win over Clay Hill. Then heads to the race leader Jason Baker, as we have another look at some dramas further back in the pack. That's a big spin for Andy Stamford at Outon. Again, very lucky to hit anything solid. Meanwhile, though, the checker flag comes out and it's a maiden victory in the Lotus Elise Trophy for Jason Baker. Second place for Will Price, and Luigi Mazza completing the podium at the end of a race that was full of drama. This then, the final classification, with victory for Baker from Will Price and Mazza. Craig Denman in fourth, Adam Knight in fifth, Andrew Bentley recovering to complete the top 10 just behind Martin Wills. Christopher Mayhew rounding out the finishers. Celebrations for Adam Gore and Jason Baker. Successful day for Rob Boston Racing.
I must admit, I wasn't really expecting a win this early, so yeah, really over the moon, really happy.
And what's your experience other than racing? Have you done a lot of track days?
A few track days and arrive and drive karting, but nothing competitive really. So this is the second race ever. And there was a gaggle of about four of us that were sort of pulling away from the pack. So it was a really good start. And then a little incident in front of me and left the track open. So yeah, it was quite nice.
We'll be back at Outon Park later for the Lotus Cup UK. But for now, it's time to return to Dijon, the Lotus Cup Europe, where race 2 of the weekend got underway with a standing start. And it was Jonathan Walker once more who sprinted into the early advantage from Gregory Rass as the rest of the pack sprinted towards the first turn. The early running very, very tight between Walker and Rass for the safety car came into proceedings. Once released, the battle continued apace, but it appeared as if it was Rass who was going to be the driver who once more was going to take home the silverware. Just seemed to have the pace on Jonathan Walker, despite the best efforts of Walker. Rass's pressure was inexorable. Eventually he found his way through to take a lead that he would not relinquish. As ever, there was plenty of action to be found behind in the rest of the pack. Nicholas Ibsen in particular and Thierry Verheest doing battle with the 211s Jeremy Lorenko and Xavier Georges. It was Ibsen who was able to race his way through to the front of that pack. Lap after lap, they continued to fly in formation. David Harvey, again in his 340R, was the head of the open class. It was really the fight though for third position which caught the eye as they mixed it with some of the production runners. Harvey able this time around to just pull clear of Nathalie Genou-Prachet, the battle that continued from the earlier race. So this then was how it finished, with victory for Gregory Rass from John Walker and Nicolaj Ibsen, Thierry Verheest in 4th, Jeremy Lorenko, the first of the 211s, in 5th, and Herbert Metzger claiming exige honours in 9th. In terms of the group classifications, in the 211s, it was Jeremy Lorenko from Xavier Georges and Jean-Pierre Genou-Prachet. The open class, David Harvey, victorious from Kai Kederholm. The Exige Cup, Herbert Metzger claiming the honours from Nicolas Frère and Yves Kureman. The ultra-competitive V6 Cup went the way of the race winner Gregory Rass from John Walker and Nicolaj Ibsen. And in the production group, it was Laurent Febvre from Charlotte Burridge and Jean Potier. So heading away from Dijon, what does that mean in terms of the group standings? Well, for the 211s, Jeremy Lorenko 15 points clear of Xavier Georges, with Christophe Legendre third. The open group is beginning to swing heavily in the direction of David Harvey. Exige Cup, Anthony Fournier likewise building up a handy advantage over Herbert Metzger. V6 Cup, Gregory Rass beginning to open some daylight over Nicolaj Ibsen and John Walker. And the production battle a little bit tighter, with Laurent Febvre leading the way from Thomas de Haïb. In terms then of the overall standings, Jeremy Lorenko, who leads the way from Xavier Georges, Gregory Rass, the first of the V6 runners, in 3rd, and Laurent Febvre, first of the production runners, in 4th. Well, that's it from Dijon, but join us after the break in Lotus on Track, where we'll have more action, this time from Hockenheim.